my professional trajectory was I was in the gyms initially, just working as a trainer. Um, but I had a real interest in people, and I also had a real passionate interest in kind of self-development, for myself. And so naturally in my training sessions, the conversation would typically, there was an opportunity for greater depth in the conversation. And, what's really going on. Which is, I'm sure is common for a lot of personal trainers, but you become a bit of a therapist. But it just became clear to me that I'm not very passionate about counting your reps on the lat pull down, and I would rather talk to you about, what's really going on.
Yeah.
And it also became very clear to me at that time in my life that fitness is obviously very important, but it's not the end-all be-all of wellness. You can meet a lot of people who are very, very fit, but not very, very well. So, and then I had begun my course of education with Paul, and I also had a degree in psychology, and I'd always aspired to create kind of like a mind-body practice, and I had begun a pretty deep dive into the practice of meditation under the tutelage of some real deal teachers. And at that time, my personal training business was pretty lucrative. I mean, I was successful. It wasn't very challenging, but it was really crushing me inside to sit through the sessions, and like it wasn't fulfilling my soul. And so under the at the push of some close friends of mine, it's very important to have a close inner circle, and they pushed me to be like, bro, you gotta give it up, and you gotta take the leap into the next chapter of your business as a health practitioner. And so I did that, and I started to earn a lot more money, and I was more fulfilled in the work, the work that I was doing with people, but I was working with men and women, and I just knew the way I like to talk. I like to be a little rough around the edges with people I'm talking. I don't want to censor myself, and I also just became clear that I am familiar with walking the path from dark to light as a man, but I don't know what it is to be a woman, and I think that men and women are very different, and I want to stay in my lane and work with men. And so at that time, I was invited by two friends of mine, Dave Burns, who's here in Austin, and Justin Pierce, who's now in Florida, and we the three of us collaborated and built a men's community where we would teach online classes and host retreats. And then we did that for a few years, and now that organization, which was called Tribe, is now dissolved. And then I set out and built my own offering, and I built the Savage and Saint Collective.
That's awesome. How many years ago was that?
That I built the Savage and Saint Collective? Yeah. Probably like 4 years ago now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know, mutual friends. I think somebody in Fit for Service maybe 3 years ago had either been a part of it or was interested in it. Mm-hmm. And there was another one, Sacred Sons, something like that.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
That I'd heard. Yeah, I'm not affiliated with them either. Right. They've had their own. I mean, I have heard of ups and downs through people that are
sure
a part of that program. But
see, men's work is such a loosely defined term, and it means so many different things to so many different people. And I think, unfortunately, for people that are outside of the work of outside the wellness space, it has a pretty negative connotation. So I think that if you look into the men's work sphere, there's kind of two extreme ends. The one is misogynistic, alpha entrepreneur, like it's all about getting chicks and getting money, and then the other side is like the super spiritual, in air quotes, like spirituality as like a piece of fashion,
Yeah.
Spiritual materialism.
Yeah.
And also like kind of wearing softness or weakness.
If you hear a dude that's in men's work say the word vulnerable or authentic more than 3 times in a minute, you know you're on the wrong track.
Bro,
right? Like they're catchwords, right? Catchwords like that, and I don't mind. Both of those words are great in the right context.
Right.
But when they're just thrown out,
yeah, that's such a good metric.
Right?
Yeah. And so at the other end, it's like there's this promoting this kind of harmlessness or a softness or conflating emotional intelligence with kind of getting lost in one's stuff. And so that's why I wanted to offer something that's in the middle, you know, and that's the Savage and Saint. And initially, you know, as the kind of inspiration came to me, it was, okay, I'm a deep meditator, and I have a serious inquiry into this world of spirituality, and I'm doing long retreats, and I have the good fortune of meeting really, you know, bona fide teachers. That's the Saint. And then I'm a martial artist, and I'm getting in the ring, and, you know, I was working as a bouncer, just like you, for 10 years, and I know how to fuck somebody up. That's the Savage. And so that's not the way I look at it now, but that was the early stages. But now I've come to see it as like, it's a strategy for self-governance. If you would govern yourself well, if you would reach your greatness and enjoy the journey to your greatness, then that path will absolutely require aptitude in expressing a very savage part of yourself, but also expressing a very saintly part of yourself. The savage part is the relentless striving toward your goal in spite of all obstacles. The saint side is the radical and unconditional acceptance of yourself and the world as it is right now, exactly as it is right now, completely. And something very magical happens when you can kind of do both of those things well, and you can just abide in the middle. And it unlocks a vitality, a performance output that I didn't know was possible, or that an individual didn't know was possible. Most guys who are moving toward their ambitions are so heavily kind of out of balance on the savage side that when they achieve the thing, they have no capacity to really enjoy it. And so then it's on to the next thing, and life just becomes a series of on to the next thing, on to the next thing, with no capacity to ever land where you are. And so it's very critical to get still enough, to get quiet enough, to have the direct experience that, oh, you're perfect, I'm perfect, this is perfect. And then from that place, then go out and chase your dream. But it's not that important anymore. And because it's not that important, your goal's not that important, paradoxically, it's more likely to happen.